Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing one of the sensations of SIHH 2017. It's the Panerai Luminor Submersible 1953 Days Bronzo PAM00671. You can see this 2017 limited edition of 1,000 pieces in beautiful bronze on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally, complete pricing details for this beautiful blue and bronze Luminor Submersible. The original Bronzos of 2011 and 2013 sported a slick olive drab green dial, but this watch, which debuted in 2017 alongside a new generation of Panerai submersibles, was an entirely different animal, at least on the dial side. The combination of a muted matte blue and the rich patina-style bronze used by Panerai means that not only was the watch distinct from the Bronzos that came before, but each individual example takes on characteristics unique to the unit. So no two of these are exactly the same. 1,000 pieces made, but each effectively a piece unique at this point in time. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. The look is big. That's always been the look with Panerai, from the 44mm Luminor days to today and the 47 1950 case. You'll note that it's an easy watch to wear because it's mostly a cushion in profile, about as tall as it is wide. The lugs do overlap my wrist a bit at the extremity, but not in an awkward sense because the lugs are so short, stubby, and downward tapered. You really look at the case, and the case is constrained onto my wrist. I believe you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters in circumference. You get the same aesthetic you see here, but it actually looks chunky, stylish, and I have to say, natural. We've gotten used to the Luminor profile. Folks who buy Panerai don't want their watches to disappear, and there's no danger with this one. Now, in terms of thickness, it's not as thick as I expected, but it's not slim by any measure. 15.9 millimeters. There is a little bit of a rounded lip to the bezel, so you could wear it underneath a suit jacket. You just won't clear the dress sleeve beneath. From lug to lug, the watch is a broad 56.4 millimeters, but again, the real measurement is 47 by 47. From 9 to 3, 12 to 6, that's actually how it sits on the wrist. The strap spacing is a burly 26 millimeters, so whether you want to accessorize and buy a Panerai OEM replacement strap or test the waters in the Panerai aftermarket strap universe, and I do mean universe, you have many options in the 26 millimeter range. Now the strap used here is actually the Ponte Vecchio. It is a minimally treated calfskin with a contrasting patina style stitch in ecru coloration. It nicely matches the patina style loom on the dial. You can see the logo, the interlocking OP that was adopted by Panerai during the 70s, and you'll note this is a sheer cut style strap, so the calfskin layers are visible in a rusticated finish on the flank, minimally treated leather, minimally dressed to allow the natural grain to show through. It has an attractive raw and utilitarian look while still being silky smooth on the wrist. It's a wonderful duality about that strap. The pin buckle is simple. It's titanium, it's brushed, it's trapezoidal, it's oversized. It's everything you want on a no-holds-barred sports watch. And I should clarify that this watch doesn't have the Panerai quick-release lug system. It has the traditional screw-fixed lug, so don't worry, no spring bars here, but you'll have to use your traditional Panerai screwdrivers and strap tools to put this one on an aftermarket or OEM replacement strap. The case is the 1950 profile, so we know it well by this point. A little bit more fluid, compound curved, more historically accurate, but also more graceful than the original Betterini tuna case that we came to know and ultimately love from 1993 to the present. Both case forms exist. This one's a better match for an oversized case because frankly, the Betterini is just a little too chunky to scale up to 47 millimeters. It would look awkward. Here, it's an impressively beautiful brute, to use a term once applied to the Chrysler letter cars of the 1950s. It is a beautiful brute, and that continues in the soft grain of the bronze. As you can see, it does have a satin finish with just a few minimal polished highlights around the outer circumference of the bezel, so it has a nice anti-reflective, anti-glare quality about it. A watch this large and polished, frankly, would just overwhelm. You can also see, and nowhere is this more evident than on the bezel, that the patina as it progresses, and we can get a little bit closer even, But as the patina progresses, it creates uneven deposits, areas of light, areas of dark, and shadings in between that are quite distinctive and beautiful. Now, of course, when you send the watch back to Panerai for service, you can request that it be refinished to its original factory sheen. But considering the patina gradually stabilizes, becomes richer, and ultimately arrests corrosion of the case, and that is what patina is after all, a combination of tarnish and oxidation, I would actually leave it as is. It's beautiful and it's in character with the watch. Now, the bezel is a lovely piece. The fine knurling is surprisingly easy to grip, and I can imagine that if my hands were wet, sweaty, or gloved, I would have absolutely no trouble gaining a purchase. The ratchet, I'm just going to come out and say it, is the best I've experienced on any dive watch. Just as a bad ratchet and a minimally audible report, a minimally audible detent can really ruin a dive bezel, a great one can make a dive watch. And that's what you have here. You can line up the luminescent pearl with the hour hand or the minute hand, depending on how long an interval you want to time. Typically, you line up with the minute hand, and then you count down from 60. I find that this is the best chronograph ever made. It feels more natural in a Luminor case, too, than a true chronograph would. I find that most of what I measure with a chronograph watch is usually less than an hour in duration, and it's far easier to just read a hand against a radial scale than it is to read a sub-register on a traditional chronograph. So perhaps the best chronograph ever invented and the only one that most of us use. Plus, it'll save you on service costs down the line because there's no underlying mechanical complexity. Now you can see that not only is there a luminescent pearl in the bezel, but there is also, and I'm going to try to get a little bit lighter here with some more aperture, there is also plenty of luminescent material and ecru coloration, luminova to be sure, within the rose gold indices and hands at center. You'll also note there's a small amount in constant seconds. There will be a lume shot at the end of this video. I like the use of patina style lume when it's a color complement rather than a pander. This isn't a watch pretending to be a vintage re-edition. It's not a re-edition of anything that's ever existed. As a result, the coloration is warm, endearing, and a perfect match for the matte blue of the dial and the rose golds of the indices and hands. You'll also note the gilt style printing on the dial in exactly the same tone. Coherent is what it is. There's a balance between the discrete date window at 3 and small seconds at 9. Now the watch does have a number of features. We'll talk about the device protecting the crown in a moment, but let's talk about the features enabled by that crown first. There is a time zone function, so you can actually set the hour of the watch. Note the seconds hand continues to advance, so does the minute hand. You can set the hour as you jump time zones, and note how you can actually change the date forward or backwards, east or west, should you be crossing the international date line. Ultimately, if you do want to synchronize your watch to the second, there is a hacking function. Pull the crown to extremity to its second stop, and you will see that the seconds hand halts. So you have all of that functionality built in. And the watch, of course, empowered and equipped with the device protecting the crown. Empowered because it offers complete protection to your crown rather than a more limited shouldered crown guard, and a simple watch to use because you simply raise the lever. Now you can wind. Now you can set. There's no need to fight with a tight screw-down crown when your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved. This was a brilliant method of protecting the crown and replacing the screw-down crown when it first surfaced in the 1950s. It remains just as practical today. And one of the side benefits of the design is that unlike a screw-down crown, which you may not screw in entirely, it's easy to know when you've accidentally left your crown unlocked because that lever stands up like a giant red flag. Brilliant then, brilliant now, and it's one of the reasons why the silhouette of this watch is both iconic and recognizable across a room. Now on the case back, a little bit more materials, perhaps not the ones you expected. Rhodium-plated brass and titanium. The case back is titanium, and you'll note that contained within is the still relatively new caliber 9010, a manufacture movement from Panerai. You can see underneath the historically inspired 3/4 bridge, twin mainspring barrels, automatic winding energizing a 72-hour, 3-day power reserve, ceramic rotor bearings for minimal maintenance requirement as well as high efficiency. You can see this is one of the innovations, the use of a full balance bridge. This is something that's relatively late breaking on the caliber 9000 family. So anchored on both sides by a screw, it offers more support to the balance to resist shock and concussion on the wrist. You'll note a free sprung index, so that's another feature that mitigates the effect of shock. Now all of this water resistant to 300 meters. You can wind it manually if you like, but it has a very efficient winding system, so you shouldn't have to worry. 31 joules, or excuse me, 31 joules. It's an impressive mechanism, and Panerai's in-house calibers are all a little bit over-engineered in the sense that they're thicker than they have to be, they're tougher than they have to be, and they're a little bit more refined too than they have to be, given the hardcore sporting intent of the watches and the fact that for its first decade, Panerai mostly shipped ETA calibers. An impressive watch inside and out, and a limited edition of 1000 long sold out, the only of the Bronzos with a blue dial. You can see this one and make it your own on our website. And we're back with the Panerai PAM00671 Bronzo. Blue dial, bronze case, but you wouldn't know by the soft glow of its green luminova. You can see the rotating dive bezel with its enormous luminescent pearl and the distinctive double index at 12. See and own this one by the light of day on our website.